All righty. I'm Bradley Thomas, and this is the Art of Changing Your Life Coaching and the Take the Road to Freedom Summit. And today, my guest is Adam Timm. He is a certified stress management consultant, corporate trainer, and #1 best-selling author of Stress is Optional: How to Kick the Habit. Welcome, Adam.
Thanks so much, Bradley. Great to be here.
Yeah, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. And, we're talking, I'm doing this whole interview series to inspire others to find their purpose because I believe if others know their purpose, they're much more driven to help others, create change in the world, and to ultimately make more money for themselves. So why don't we just jump right into it? Let's go back into your background and tell everybody about yourself and how you found your purpose and what your purpose is.
All right, great. Well, again, my name is Adam Timm, and I'm a corporate trainer. So I go into companies and I do stress resilience training, and it centers a lot around self-care and taking time for oneself, because so often we forget that part, that in order to give fully to our life and to the world that we inhabit, that we have to give back to ourselves first. We have to give from the overflow. And my personal story was that I was a 911 operator for the Los Angeles Police Department for 10.5 years.
Wow.
And,
you got some stories.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the 911 dispatch center in LA is particularly busy. It's one of the busiest, I would say, in the world, just because of the population. There's 6 million people that live in this area. And for 7 of those years, things were pretty stressful and pretty bad. I was dogged by chronic stress. I had tension headaches every day, and ulcers, indigestion, anger and frustration. So living in this chronically stressed state, it was spilling over into everything. I had toxic relationships and interpersonal conflict with my coworkers and supervisors, and even some instances with citizens on the phone lines.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was, and I didn't really know that these were symptoms until I started taking time for myself. And I took a meditation class, and started sitting for 10 or 15 minutes each day and just connecting with the breath and being still. And within 6 months, my life transformed, and I had to share this with others. I started a meditation-based stress reduction program at the 911 dispatch center, and that keyed me into my purpose. So you're talking about, like, what is my purpose and how did I find it? I think I kind of fell upon it because I saw meditation as a pathway that allowed me to see what was real, to really understand what my life was asking of me. Because up until that point, I was just all over the place. I had a difficult relationship at home. I had the 911 work, which was stressful in itself. Plus, I was working on a side business. So I had stress at work, stress in the side business, stress at home in the relationship. I was completely out of balance. And through the clarity and stillness of my meditation practice, I saw what I could let go of so that I could return to a truer sense of what my life was really all about.
Yeah, I think it's you're one of the first people I've talked to in this series. I think a lot of people agree, but you're specifically stating, that meditation has really helped you, and I can say that for myself as well. I've been meditating for, I guess, the past year and a half, really consistently, almost every single day, or at least Monday through Friday. And it's one of the biggest reasons that I was able to find my purpose of inspiring and helping others. And it really quiets down a lot of the inner talk and inner chatter in your head, and kind of like separates all of those thoughts, and you can start to get really clear on what your message is and what your purpose is, and just general clarity in your life. Let's talk about that a little more in meditation.
Okay.
And if someone doesn't know exactly what to do in meditation, walk them through just the general steps. Obviously, this isn't going to be a meditation class, but we can give them some general tips and advice on how to go about it.
Yeah, of course. I think that all of us on some level, especially if we're devoted to our life path and finding our purpose and moving on that path of purpose, meditation at some point has kind of been like a bug in our ear. I know that before I started my meditation practice, I had read about meditation many, many, many times, and I thought intellectually, hey, I get it. That's good for somebody, but I never really sat down and did it. So for any of the viewers out there that know that meditation can do something for your life, but you're not sure what, the best way to start is by first of all, taking 10 minutes aside. And even if you feel like you have no time, and you can't create time, I hear from a lot of people like, if I could just make that time. Well, we all have only 24 hours.
Yeah.
It's really about taking that time. So the starting point is to take 10 minutes where you're not going to be interrupted. Set a timer, turn your cell phone on silent, set a timer, have a comfortable seat, and then just begin to breathe through the nose, in and out of the nose, feeling the coolness of the in-breath and the warmth of the out-breath. And despite all of the insanity that may ensue upstairs and all around, just continue to breathe like that for 10 minutes, and when that alarm goes off, which might feel like an eternity, then it's time to go and do whatever the day is asking of you. But just doing that, I recommend in my workshops, if you commit to 10 minutes every day for 2 weeks, the space between thoughts, the space between everything begins to lengthen, and we have more maneuverability in our daily life. And like you said, we can hear that still voice. We can deduce much more clearly what our next step is. And I think the tendency is to just kind of like go, I don't know what to do. I'm so confused. I'm so stressed. I'm so wound up and anxious, and because that's exactly where I was. And suddenly, everything.
Yeah, I mean, even in that moment, like you had me relax for a second. I was like, whoa, I can't get too relaxed. I gotta do it. I'm doing an interview here. Can't send out if they want to. If someone wants to go watch some YouTube videos or check out your services to get meditation, I encourage them to do so.
Awesome.
Yeah, again, it's one of those mantras of like, when you found your purpose, and my purpose as well, meditation is a big part of that. And I'm developing my message right now to help and encourage others, and meditation is going to be part of, how to help, how to start changing your life, because it's just, I'm a firm believer of it now, and I don't think that will ever change. So, how do you go out into workplaces, stressful workplaces especially? How are you introducing, some of your programs to them, and like, what are some of the benefits that you've seen that maybe caught you off guard of like, oh wow, I never thought that would be a benefit. Maybe there's someone listening here that's heard, yes, I know meditation's supposed to help me feel better and get more clarity, but maybe there's someone out there that they haven't heard a different side of it, or a benefit that is different than anything else. Is there any stories like that?
Yeah, well, I would say that one of the uncommon benefits, but definitely a very real truth, is that when we start to take time for ourselves to just sit and be, that's really what we're talking about, like sitting in this space of being as opposed to doing. We have lots of practice doing and being in action.
Yeah.
That we start to kind of breathe in a level of compassion for ourselves. We see how unkind our self-talk can be at times, and how that incessant thought loop is really what's propelling us forward. And when we take the courage, it's really about enriching and deepening our level of courage in our personal path as well. When we take the courage to just sit, interesting things happen. We start to unravel these thoughts that have pushed us ever forward, and we don't even know why. Many of us are just living through ideas that have been impressed upon us by our teachers, by our parents, so we do all of these things, and we get a good job after college, and we work in that career for a little while, and suddenly we have the white picket fence and the 2.5 kids and the house and car, and everything's supposed to be hunky-dory, but not. And so what I see is people realizing that they have much more power than they ever imagined. And I think that courage is a sticking point. It's something, well, wow, I can, just in the stillness of sitting here doing nothing, I realize what is true for me. And so really becoming more aligned with that personal truth is a beautiful thing that I see.
Yeah, so even, more confidence in your life is what is, more power, more confidence, because once you're clear on things, it's easier to make decisions, it's easier to go forward, and it's easier to listen for your own purpose, what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
So, you've started you went from a 911 operator to now inspiring others and giving people really good, valuable information. How did you make that leap into a business of teaching people meditation and other stress reduction techniques?
Well, when I started teaching the meditation-based stress reduction program at 911 to my coworkers, I started to see these amazing things happen. I was only guiding one 15-minute guided session per week for people, and just in one 15-minute session per week. Most people weren't. I always talk about you got to take this out of this room and incorporate it into your life, but many people just couldn't find the time to do that. So it was just that one 15-minute session each week. They were feeling more happy. They were having more space and compassion at home and patience with their children. And one mom said to me, Adam, my little 8-year-old said, Mommy, I think you've changed. What's different about you? So I saw that this stuff worked, and I started working with clients one-on-one as well. And then I started writing my book. So I wrote my book while I went to the launching point for the big vision was a seminar that I went to done by Jesse Corin and Charlotte Jacobs. They used to call themselves Rejuvenate Your Practice. Now they're called Thrive Academy. But I went to the Rejuvenate Your Practice 2-day intensive. And at this 2-day seminar, I saw that I wanted to have a coaching practice. I saw that I wanted to develop information products like books and audio CDs and group programs. And I saw that I wanted to speak from the stage. And so I committed, I invested in myself, invested in this vision for myself, and started going to Toastmasters. So while I was going to Toastmasters, I was writing my book as well. I knew that I wanted to position myself in the field of stress management, stress reduction, which is a pretty big space, and there's a lot of PhDs and MDs in this space, and I'm not a PhD. I'm not a doctor, an MD. So I had to do something innovative, and writing my book was kind of a way of getting all of my thoughts together and offering something to the world. So offering the tools that I used, and within a year, I went from seeing a few clients while still working for the LAPD to speaking and selling my book. So I was on a speaker listing service. And because this topic of stress management, stress resilience is timely, and I don't think it's going to go anywhere because things are only getting more stressful.
Yeah, not for a little bit. Yeah.
I just started gigging around the country, so doing speaking. So speaking was my first path, and now we're doing the corporate training because my feeling is that even though entrepreneurs will continue to leave their jobs and in the pursuit of their business or their life purpose outside of the institutions that they've worked for, or the organizations that they've worked for, there will always be people who want to work in corporations, who want to work in organizations. And the research is clear that employees who have an increased feeling of well-being are more engaged, happiness breeds productivity, and we know that organizations are willing to pay for happier, more productive employees. So that's kind of that's my feeling, that's my belief. And as long as there are tens of thousands of people working in organizations, I believe that the organizations should invest in their human capital through our trainings, our stress resilience trainings. So that's kind of our guiding principle now, exiting 2014, moving powerfully into 2015. And so we're doing that with dispatch centers around the country and other high-stress organizations that need our services.
Yeah, was there You said Toastmasters, and I'm signed up next week to start, I guess, start exploring my Toastmasters services. I haven't been to a meeting, but I've heard a couple different people, and it seems like the way that most speakers get out there. And I'm not sure where my speaking journey is going to go. I just know that I want to do a better job speaking in front of people when I go to spread my message of, finding your purpose and, trying to create work you love with it. So. What kind of any big failures along the way, in your journey that you overcame that you'd like to share and help people so they don't have those big failures?
Sure. I would say the thing that pops up in my mind is when I left my good-paying city job. I was leaving 20 years. I had been at the LAPD for 10 years. But I left 20 years of employment. So being employed for someone else's business is different than running your own business.
Oh yeah, totally.
And if I didn't have the savings to kind of buffer my exploration of what our business model was, like I had an idea that we would do trainings. Maybe it would be corporate, maybe it would be law agency specific, and do some coaching as well. But we didn't really know how it would manifest, and so we tried a lot of different things last year, over 2014, and it was a time of exploration. And when we finally came to clarity around what our specific niche was to be, that made things much, much easier. I'd love to recommend this amazing book that speaks specifically to this that I've just recently come upon, The One Thing. Have you read this book?
Oh yeah, it's great.
It's amazing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's tell people about it. I mean, I love it. I think it's great.
So it's really about knowing who specifically you serve and speaking their language. And you'll hear this time and time again in these trainings, business-specific trainings, is that if you have a product that you believe is for everybody, which we all have a product that is for everyone, conceptually, it's really for nobody. So I would say that really getting clear on who you serve, and that bigger why. My story came out of being stressed and miserable at the dispatch center, and I can easily extrapolate that to being stressed and miserable in a corporate setting, but I don't speak the corporate language as well as I do to dispatchers, to 911 operators, who have a very specific set of stressors and challenges. And so we see them light up as a result of me standing in front of them. And I'm a good trainer and a good speaker, as well as having the battle scars of being on that center floor. So I talk to a lot of people who are moving in this direction of a leap, quantum leap into the life of their dreams and the life of their purpose. And many think that they have to invent a business, and it's not really like that. It's more that what you've been doing all of your life has led you quite naturally to the next step. In my mind, it's like in 8th grade, we were looking to high school. We're going to be a freshman in high school. And there's upperclassmen, and it's high school, and there's anxiety that summer before 9th grade. It's a different type of anxiety than going from any other grade, because we have this expectation that it's so vastly different. But then when we land on the first day of 9th grade, we find that everything that we've done up until this point has made it such a smooth transition. And I think it's like that with entrepreneurship. There is a certain amount of courage and mustering up and taking the leap out of organizational employment to self-employment. But when we see that what we've been doing and what we're interested in is probably the direction that we can take in our entrepreneurial life, it's an easier transition, I think, and it diffuses some of the fear.
Yeah, I think that's true. And for me, the biggest take I took from being an employee for 13 years and a geek is that when you go out into the entrepreneurial world, no one's going to give you anything. You have to go out and do it yourself. You have to go out and take it.
Yeah.
and you have to figure it out, and you've got to start surrounding yourself with mentors and people who have done it before you, so they can steer you in the right direction and keep you going along the right path. And
Yeah.
you're gonna have failures, and things are gonna screw up, and probably the first year, 2 years, whatever it ends up being, is probably just going to be your discovery process. And that's exactly what has happened to me, and it sounds like your story is very similar to that as well. So yeah, any other business tips? When people are going out there and they're trying to they found their purpose, and now they're going after it. Any other Zen tips on business?
Well, I think that we have this romantic attachment to self-employment being like we have the option of working in our pajamas, and it's we sit on a laptop in front of our TV in the living room, and
No.
we got to treat it like a business.
Yeah.
Every day I'm in my desk, which is I have a home office. I'm in my at my desk in my office at 9 o'clock after I do all my morning ritual. And I treat it like a business, and as a result, I can stand as the CEO of my company or the owner of a business when I'm talking with other business owners who have multi-million-dollar companies. And I think that that's an important distinction. Also, having a morning ritual. That's when it comes to Zen business tips. I don't know, Bradley, if you have your own morning ritual, but every morning I get up and I run, whether I run 3 or 5 miles, and then I do my meditation, and I make myself a good breakfast, and so there's space, and I plan for my day ahead, the day before, so that I know what I'm going into the next day, and then I do something before the week upcoming. On Sunday, I do what I call the weekly review. So looking forward to the week ahead, and I always feel much more prepared and in the creative flow, because it is about creativity. We may think that there's a lot of nuts and bolts, and it's like we're robots in business, but when we allow for it, there is a creative flow to any business, and whatever we can do to unleash that creativity and that creative energy is good.
Yeah, I think what you said of having a routine, and if anybody doesn't have a routine, I don't know if you've heard of it, the Miracle Morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Hal Elrod actually partnered with Jay Keller to write their next series in the Miracle Morning for real estate agents.
Nice.
But yeah, I think having a morning routine is really important, and I've been really consistent in having my morning routine. And I get up and I have my coffee for a few minutes, let the dog out, feed the dog, and then I go meditate, and then I do my affirmations, and then I go out and then I'll either have a short little workout or a small little yoga session or stretching or something of that nature, and then I may. Right now I'm training for a half marathon. Then it's usually out the door for a little bit, 3-5 miles. On Saturdays it's a lot longer, but it's very consistent. And then I come back and have a good breakfast, and then I get to work either downstairs in my jungle room, or I go to a co-working space where I'm able to be around other people, because that is one thing that is really nice about working for yourself, is that you can work from home and you can sit in front of the TV and watch and do your work. It's not very productive, but if you have a dedicated space in your home, that's even better. But even at that time, once you're home and you're working, sometimes you just need some other people just to be around you, And so I mix it up a bit, and I found it's a good mix to be able to go to the office, and on days when you're working on projects where it's not as pressing, and you can just get some things done, and then you can also interact with some people. So it's the best of both worlds for me. So if you do go out and do it, I encourage people to look at co-working spaces, and try your home as well. So yeah, thank you for that. So what, as we're kind of winding down here, is there any final wrap-up pieces? How to start integrating meditation into work, or anything in kind of the final wrap-up that you want to add in?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that especially when we first leave our job, or when we first get on the path of understanding that we there is something authentic waiting to emerge from within us. Our tendency is to overwork. We have the full-time job, and we're probably double dipping at certain times. And then when we leave our full-time job, we're kind of pushed by fear and anxiety because, just like you said, it's all on us. And the very best thing in these moments is to continue to stick to the practice of creating space and taking time for oneself and taking breaks and balancing work with play. Because even if your work feels like play, you still have to divide your work time from play time to make this delineation. Like I like to play loud dance music on you can see my turntable up over there.
DJ Adam.
Right? I like to go to the beach, and when we get into an unbridled state of joy, which we may not always be like that, especially when we're working 40 hours a week in the trenches of our business, joy and stress cannot coexist. So we need this balancer, and we may not be affected immediately by chronic stress, but it happens in weeks and months and years down the road where we have some chronic ailment and heart disease, and 60% of doctor's visits are stress related. So it's really a sneaky thing. So balance. I speak about balance, and maybe not about work-life balance, but more about work-play balance, because we got to have fun too.
Yeah, work hard, play hard, right?
Exactly.
So I got one question that just popped up in my head.
Okay.
So when you find people are in resistance to trying something, and you're just like, I really know that this will, would really help you. Any tricks that you can throw my way when I'm helping people to maybe just get them to try, especially meditation? And there's just some people in my life that I know they would just hugely benefit from it, and they just, and I've told them over and over and over that they should try try this, and it just, nothing's working. But you feel at the same time, that they're really close to you, and they just won't do it.
Yeah, that's a tough thing when you talk about influencing others who don't necessarily want help or believe that they need help.
Yeah.
So what I find is good is getting people clear on what their vision for their life is. So if they have a vision outside of the confines of feeling rushed and anxious and overwhelmed and tense every day, meditation is an antidote for that. And you can call it creating breathing space. I find that people are somewhat averse to the idea of meditation because it's somehow seen as religious or Buddhist or Hindu or something like that, like yoga. So that's why I like to say it's creating breathing space or taking me time. And that's one thing that people will readily admit to not doing enough of, is taking time for themselves. I mean, they give their life to their family and to their job and to everybody else. If someone has a problem, they're the ones that they come to. And, well, how much time are you taking for yourself? And so I get curious around people who say, yeah, I guess I could do it. I see that it would be beneficial, but they don't. I was like, well, what would they like instead? And if the life that they would like instead exists outside of the current things that they're doing, then this is a vehicle by which they can make that leap outside of their comfort zone into something a little bit more inspiring.
Cool. I think that helps a little bit. Just make sure to remind them of where they want to go, and then this could be a tool
well, I think it's
to help them get to.
It's asking them and engaging them in conversation. So people don't like to be preached to, but they like to discover solutions on their own. So just intentional questions, I guess, and curiosity.
Yeah. The way you frame it, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I had an intuitive hit to kind of ask that question, and I wanted to make sure I got that. So yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Anything else? Any final words of wisdom to anybody venturing out, trying to find their purpose and start a business around, their purpose?
Well, I would love to leave you with that it's easier than you think. We we have we have been in a state of joy at certain times in our lives, and it's really about following the joy. So your authentic purpose, your authentic message, is something that you've probably already worked with. You don't have to go and invent something that you have no business even dabbling in. It's just a matter of doing some journaling even, and seeing what really brings you joy. So I would encourage anyone to just follow their joy and know that purpose in life is about what we can joyfully bring to the world so that it's a better place.
Yeah, I think that's right, and I think a way to kind of put an aspect on that is that what advice are you always giving your friends or family? And that's probably where you find a lot of joy.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, I appreciate you being here. Why don't you tell people where they can find out more about you and where they can hook up with you?
Great. So my website specifically for our corporate training programs is www.zenlifeservices.com. I think it's right here down under my name.
Yep.
zenlifeservices.com. And if you would like to have daily messages, we tweet as well as do daily Facebook messages on our Zen Life page. So it's facebook.com/ZenLife. And then at Live a Zen Life on Twitter. So we're always updating our Twitter feed with daily inspirational quotes and messages to keep people on the path of purpose and joy.
Cool. Thank you very much, Adam. I appreciate it. Everybody, check out his website. Go put more Zen in your life, I guess you could say. Yeah. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. You have a great day.
My pleasure. Thanks so much, Bradley. Bye bye.